this was his thing. Transportation was what he was behind in VRE.
Transportation specifically, I mean, he served on the VML transportation issues. He was on the Potomac Regional Transportation Commission. He was on the VRE Operations Board, and he served as chairman as both. And even when he left office, he became president of the Virginians for High-Speed Rail. So he was constantly working on the transportation issue.
Well, and I think the whole idea of putting something like that's name on an engine is kind of a nice thing.
It is, and I've been thinking about what we're going to talk about when the time comes, and you really think about what he did, and most of the time you start a speech about listing, he was chairman of this, and and it's a resume thing, and with Bill it went well beyond resume. I mean, he was really dedicated to this, and a little bit far thinking, because I was looking at some things, and what caught me is he did an interview like a decade and a half ago talking about, I really think Virginia is going to be facing some serious challenges in transportation. And here I am as FAMPO representative meeting on the latest and greatest study on the I-95 corridor, and the state comes out and says, well, we've now studied 2 more lanes on 95, and guess what? Within 10 years, we're right back where we started from. We need to do more with transit. So we have finally caught up to Bill Greenup, basically a decade and a half later in his thinking. And he really, really worked hard. And if you look at some of the things they tried to do, they didn't have a lot of successes, but he kept the momentum, he kept the discussion going. And that was very important.
And I remember that at the time when he was talking about, like you say, the issues that we now do talk about, he was talking about, VRE was new to this area, and those kind of mass transit things that we really didn't talk a lot about.
We didn't talk about a lot about that, and to be perfectly honest, when this came up in the city, Bill was a big supporter of joining VRE. At the time, in my early days in Fredericksburg politics, I was not, and actually was initially opposed to joining VRE. And of course, part of that was just the times that we were going on in Fredericksburg politics. It was us versus them. Kind of reminiscent, isn't it, of what we're going through today?
Yeah.
And I've got to give Bill credit for the fact that he kept his focus on, this is something we really, really need to do. And my father always says you never make a mistake as long as you learn something from it. Yeah. One thing I learned from Bill through this process is, look at the long game. What's important? What do you really need to be focusing on, and less on the politics and what goes on around it. And because again, when Bill went off VRE and PRTC, I became the city's representative on both those boards. And his name still comes up in conversation with the amount of time that he dedicated to moving that VRE forward, and just the transit issue in general in transportation.
Well, and I think to put his name like it will be kind of puts this area now. This VRE for so long has always been looked upon, and before the city got involved, and Stafford, it's really a Northern Virginia kind of thing. This sort of puts a local, and it kind of puts a local stamp on it for us.
It also puts it's also a recognition not only of what all that Bill did, and again, I've received some phone calls and emails saying thank you very much for bringing this issue forward and asking that his name be recognized for his support of VRE and PRTC. And I kind of look at it, goes, that's kind of a strange thing to do. He's getting this honor because he deserves this honor. He earned this honor.
Yeah.
So everything he did was really focused in on this one big issue. And it's unfortunately it's come a long way, and he hasn't been able to see where it's come. But it's people like Bill who kept beating the drum even when things weren't going his way on transit, and kept that issue alive to where here we are. Again, 2 weeks ago, sitting in a room with Assistant Secretary of Transportation and respective staffs and going, hey, you know what? We got to do more with multimodal and transit if we're going to be successful in Virginia.
Yeah.
So he deserves a lot of credit for that. So this is a great honor for him, and a deserved honor for him. And as you said, another aspect of this is in the next, probably none too distant future, most of the ridership from VRE is going to be from the southern jurisdiction, Stafford, Fredericksburg, and Spotsylvania County.
Well, I don't think at the beginning nobody saw that.
Nobody saw that coming, but that is coming.
Yeah.
It's basically, there is a fundamental shift in ridership that is going more and more to the south.